Hey, John.
Eric, how are you this Wednesday night?
I am good.
Well, that's good. That's good. I am tired if I complain a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
That's just my natural state now.
I guess I sat down. Well, I mean, not. Let me act as if I haven't been sitting all freaking day. Sorry. I had an hour and a half kind of quote off tonight, and so I went to the Fred Meyer's and got gas, and then got back home at about 9:15, just in time to come down here, pretty much.
Nice.
So I've been running though since like 6:30 or so this morning, and I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
I definitely need to catch up on my sleep. Although I did a couple nights ago, I did one of my sort of John patented, like fall asleep at 8:30 and be like, and the battery is drained. We're done. I will see you at 6 a.m. But
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
I enjoyed my daughter number two's choir concert this evening. They were live streaming it on YouTube, and it was very well done. They had multiple camera angles. The audio was actually quite good. You know, it showed close-ups of the choir, and actually close-up on her. You know, like her and like 9 people in the shot, kind of thing of the, you know, a section of the choir, and they did a bunch of them. So I got to actually see her kind of up close and hear her songs, and it was good. It was good fun.
That's fantastic. Are they doing performances in person if you had been
Yes.
in state?
Yeah, so you can go in person.
This is in addition. They streamed it in addition
for
to
anyone
the audience
who doesn't feel comfortable going in person or who's out of state, as I'm sure many people who might be interested might be.
That's a cool thing to think about, like a nice potential side effect of the whole COVID distancing thing.
Yeah.
Because we attended a couple of concerts from the local university, quote unquote, attended remotely.
Right.
And I don't think they were streaming them prior to COVID. But once they're back in person, which maybe they are at this point, but we haven't attended one, I bet you they're streaming in addition to. That's nice.
Yep.
I like it.
So it was actually kind of fun to get to hear her do her songs and get to see her 800 miles away. Not bad.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So did you enjoy the Super Bowl over the weekend?
I did actually watch the Super Bowl. It was the first game of football that I've watched this year. or I guess, this season. I sometimes I think, oh, hey, I should actually, like, it'd be fun to watch football. And then I just don't tend to.
Yeah, I used to be.
But it was a crazy good game.
Yeah, it was fun. I also used to be a much more avid sports watcher than I am.
Sports fanball?
Yes, than I am now. And I think part of it is when I cut the cord for cable, I did not have access to live sports anymore. And it just kind of wasn't there. And, you know, it never reappeared once, you know, the cable, you know, the streaming services started offering live sports. We have been watching the Olympics too. My wife's been enjoying watching the Olympics, kind of just watch the sport she's interested in instead of having to watch, you know, kind of the Olympics on TV, you know, on NBC and watch whatever programming they shove at you. You can go online and pick whatever you want. So
I haven't watched much. I should. I don't like that's going to be on Peacock, whatever.
Yes.
I don't know that we subscribe to whatever that is.
Yes, it is Peacock.
I'll have to check it out.
And like most of my streaming services, I have the streaming service because some other service I have that I want more or that I pay for includes it for free as an incentive.
Oh, bundled.
Yeah, bundled. So like I have HBO Max because it comes with my cell phone. I have Peacock because it comes with my ISP, my internet service provider. Okay. So it's like, would I pay for these things? I'm paying for them. Would I pay for them if they were not part of my deal?
I'm thinking that because I when we moved to this house, which was like 6 years ago now, that was when we official cut the cord, and I bought a Tableau,
Yep.
and I paid for the lifetime service, which was basically like a year and a half of the $5 a month kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know. I think it was like $100 for a lifetime, and they want me to like now get Tableau Premium or whatever. But I'm thinking that lifetime service that I did, which is now 6 years in, is pretty well spent. It's like back in the day when you bought the TiVo.
Yeah, exactly.
TiVo quote lifetime service. But that's where we get our CBS and NBC is actually over the air, like literally over the. I have an antenna out the back of my house aimed at those big towers on the West Hills, and the signal's pretty good. And but if you actually want to like on demand something, it's not so great for that. If it wasn't like played over the air.
I have the Tableau as well, based on your recommendation. I did not get the lifetime subscription. And after 1 year, it was like, do I really need to know what's on for the next 2 weeks and be able to schedule recordings? Because we just kind of stopped watching. So we still have it. We use it all the time. Like if there's something on the air, but I can't like schedule a recording, which we don't miss. None of the things so for me, opting not to do the lifetime subscription turns out to have been the right decision. Because I think at the time for me, it was like $150 or $50 a year or $150. And I paid for 1 year, and then after the year, I was like, and we haven't needed it since. So
yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Cool. I like it. So hey, I was gonna say, you inspired me to go to the coast this past weekend because you said you guys went to Lincoln City last weekend. And
Tillamook,
so this past Saturday. Oh, you went to Tillamook? Yeah, I knew that. I went to Lincoln City.
That's right.
They're different cities. Anyway. No. So this, Saturday morning when my wife and I were talking about what we needed to accomplish for the day. And I was like, or we could just go to the coast. and she had a, momentary, strength, I guess, momentary strength where she was like, but we really should get all this stuff done. And I'm like, or we could just go to the coast. And
you were not to be deterred.
Yeah, well, and anyway, so she was like, let's do it. Cause we've actually both the last couple of weekends as we were outside doing whatever. And it was so beautiful. It was like, why are we not at the coast? And we had a lovely day. We actually drove down to Lincoln City and then, had I don't know, it was like an hour and a half walk up and down the beach. So I got a lot of steps on that day, but then a lot of sitting in the car too. But, and then we drove up all the way to, Cannon Beach actually. So all the way up the coast, kind of caught the sunset.
Nice.
And then home. It was a long day, but it was a great day. And, anyway. And then we ate at this awesome 60s diner burger place in Lincoln City that I'm totally want to go to again because it was a really good.
I'm gonna have to try it out.
Yeah, I'll send you the drop a pin in Google Maps. Well,
you said it was like across the street from McDonald's. I think I can find it now.
Yeah. by the McMenamins in the same kind of shopping area parking lot thing as the McMenamins.
Right.
Anyway. And we only really went over there because we're like, oh, well, let's just go to McMenamins. And we went up there and they were like, yeah, it's an hour wait. And we're like, we're hungry. How about over here?
Right.
And honestly, it was better.
Nice.
So anyway, that was a great day. And then Sunday was work. I did good work in the morning, and then not work, I guess, but farm work. And then I basically sat and ate chips and watched the Super Bowl.
Nice.
And that was fun. That was good. It was a good weekend. Yeah, it was a good weekend.
All right. Should we move on? I see you threw something in follow-up.
I did. We talked about the Red Cross hack a couple of episodes ago in 215.
Mm-hmm.
Rug pull. Ironically, crypto title related because I got a couple crypto things later. But there was more news this week about the potential actors behind the intrusion. And so, the Red Cross updated their disclosure, and they said that the attackers got in through the Zoho Manage Engine, AD Self-Service Plus, which I feel like we also talked about a while back as well. There was mention in the article about more info that had been released last November about who's behind that. But they basically, this vulnerability in Zoho allowed the attackers to bypass authentication, place web shells on the servers, and then move laterally across the network. And the attackers, although they discovered discovered and disclosed it on January 18th, the actual intrusion took place on November 7th. So the attackers were in the Red Cross network for 70 or more days. And the actual quotes from the Red Cross are that, so here I'm going to quote, "The attackers used a very specific set of advanced hacking tools designed for offensive security. These tools are primarily used by advanced persistent threat groups, are not publicly available, and therefore out of reach to other actors. The attackers used sophisticated obfuscation techniques to hide and protect their malicious programs. This requires a high level of skills only available to a limited number of actors. And we determined the attack to be targeted because the attackers created a piece of code designed purely for execution on the targeted servers. The tools used by the attacker explicitly referred to a unique identifier on the targeted servers, the MAC address." So, I don't know that there was a coincident. So the Red Cross didn't identify the actors behind the Zoho attack, but there was a Palo Alto report from November last year, which is when the Zoho attack first became known, that linked the same Zoho vulnerability to a Chinese state-sponsored group known as APT27. So Red Cross didn't do any formal attribution to the Chinese state-sponsored group, but the implication in this article is very clearly that that's the likely culprit. So there's the follow-up on what happened with the Red Cross.
There you go.
The ask at the time, kind of harkening back to the first article, the Red Cross was begging the attackers not to release the information because it was their, I didn't copy that in, but it's their, the part of the Red Cross that tries to reunite people that are like refugees.
Right.
And so they're already very distressed persons. And, there was info in here that said that details of more than 515,000 persons are believed to have been collected in the attack, including data such as names, locations, and contact info.
Right.
I don't know that there was any release of data, so whether that's due to the Red Cross's request or not, who knows? But there you go.
All right.
That's my piece of follow-up.
Well, I have a segue follow-up. So it's follow-up / was one of the things that caught my eye this week.
Okay.
It's a new company called NameTag, and they do biometric login. So not username and password. They do facial recognition for your password and facial comparison. So it was very similar to the IRS ID.me that we talked about a little bit ago, and then our Senator Ron Wyden convinced them, hey, don't use this.
Kibosh.
Use login.gov, which is what everybody's supposed to be using. And then I saw this one, I'm like, so this is not... This feels like it's going to become more prevalent out there. And this one was interesting because I hadn't thought of it this way before. A lot of these login type capabilities seem to be more geared around, hey, I'm a website. I have to download an app. I have to do whatever. And This one is you don't really have to download an app. You go to a website, and if it supports this name tag thing, you can just click right through on the website and it will upload a photo of your driver's license. Now take a picture of yourself. We're going to compare them. We're going to validate that the name matches with what the name you should, all this, the bits and pieces. It goes around to validate that it is what it's supposed to be without being an app.
I think you lost me at upload a photo of your government issued ID.
Yep.
There are places that require that, opening up a bank account. If you open up an online bank account or online brokerage account or something like that, they will absolutely ask for a copy of your driver's license and that kind of stuff. But
yep.
Yeah, not super interested in that in general.
No, but clearly other people are not as concerned with it because there's a lot of money going into this space, getting rid of passwords, which I'm a fan of. Getting rid of passwords. I don't know if this is the right way to do it.
I also like the lack of passwords. No passwords is good.
Yeah. So there you go. There's article number one. The second one is probably would have been a better segue from our intro talking about the Super Bowl, because this one is right before the Super Bowl happened on Sunday. The San Francisco 49ers, the football team, were hit with ransomware, and it was the Blackbyte ransomware. And so the 49ers were not in the Super Bowl. They missed making the Super Bowl by losing the previous, 2 weeks ago, to the eventual Super Bowl champions. They lost to the eventual Super Bowl champions.
Ooh, really? Okay.
So what this would have been, the organization, so the San Francisco 49er organization said, while the investigation is ongoing, we believe the incident is limited to our corporate IT network. To date, we have no indication that this incident involves systems outside our corporate network, such as those connected to Levi Stadium, that's the big football stadium in Santa Clara, down in the Bay Area, operation, or ticket holders. They've, of course, notified law enforcement and cybersecurity firms to help investigate and try to resolve it. Now, the curious thing here, though, is if they had actually made it to the Super Bowl, and maybe this was the intent of the ransomware attacks, they could have seriously disrupted the team's preparations by messing with their entire corporate IT network, because everything is online.
Sure.
You see the football players on the sides looking at iPads or Microsoft Surface. I think that's Microsoft's a sponsor, so they have to say it's
the official partner of the NFL. Yeah, sure.
Anyways, so it was just the weekend was the Super Bowl here in the U.S. The FBI had issued an alert before this, and since November of 2021, this Blackbyte ransomware has been making the rounds among U.S. critical infrastructure sectors, government facilities, financial, and food and agriculture. So they were branching out to sports teams.
Evidently.
So there you go. Those are the two things that caught my eye this week.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. I hadn't seen the 49ers one. I think I must have gotten my fill of sports on Sunday. All right. I brought two topics tonight. My first is a Sentinel-1 article about a new, it's not really a new actor group, but a old actor group newly identified called Modified Elephant. And I don't know, so clearly kind of an Indian theme there. Although they were careful not to say that the actors are likely Indian. Anyway, the Sentinel-1, they had two things. They had like a full article or a full white paper, and then they also had the article that we'll link here. But so this is I'm going to read a couple quotes here. It says, "Our research attributes a decade of activity to a threat actor we call Modified Elephant. Modified Elephant is responsible for targeted attacks on human rights activists, human rights defenders, academics, and lawyers across India with the objective of planting incriminating digital evidence. Modified Elephant has been operating since at least 2012 and has repeatedly targeted specific individuals. And it operates through the use of commercially available remote access Trojans and has potential ties to the commercial surveillance industry. The threat actor uses spear phishing with malicious documents to deliver malware, such as NetWire, Dark Comet, and simple keyloggers with infrastructure overlaps that allow us to connect long periods of previously unattributed malicious activity. So that's kind of the top bullets for the article, but they basically they go through in some detail in the article, but due to the release of some of the quote unquote incriminating evidence for some of the cases that have been brought, they were able to to show that the systems were compromised and how some of the quote unquote incriminating evidence had been planted and planted within, a short period of time on numerous systems. Another quote down here is that the objective of Modified Elephant is long-term surveillance that at times concludes with the delivery of evidence files that incriminate the target in specific crimes prior to conveniently coordinated arrests. Let's see. After careful review of the attacker's campaigns over the last decade, so it's long running, we have identified hundreds of groups and individuals targeted by Modified Elephant phishing campaigns. Activists, human rights defenders, journalists, academics, and law professionals in India are those most highly targeted. Notable targets include individuals associated with the Bhima Koregaon case, which I actually didn't know, but they had more info in the article. There's general comment in there that it's relatively unsophisticated, that they're using over the sort of over the shelf tools, and some of the early compromised machines were using kind of relatively crude keyloggers. So it's interesting. I didn't even read the full white paper, but it's linked off of the article link we'll post in here. So they did not, that sentence I read, they mentioned India a couple of times. But the most official point is that, quote, we observe that Modified Elephant activity aligns sharply with Indian state interests, and that there is an observable correlation between Modified Elephant attacks and the arrests of individuals in controversial politically charged cases. Observable correlation.
Smoke? Fire.
Maybe.
Interesting.
We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yep.
I bet you there's some fallout. So that's like I said, that's a Sentinel-1 article. Looks like
nice.
some good and long running work. Okay, my second article. Ooh, I thought this was a totally boy, maybe I shouldn't say cool attack.
Clever?
This was a clever. Thank you. Clever. That's a better way to phrase it. So this is a crypto heist. They happen every day because crypto is
Web3 is going great.
Yeah, well, that's going to be my something fun, or one of my something funs. There was a great article. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So let's see. So this was a BGP hijack. So this is in a South Korean cryptocurrency platform, Clay Swap, but the hackers made off with a roughly $1.9 million. And what they did was they, using a rogue AS or autonomous system known as AS9457 on February 3, the attackers began advertising that they own the IP addresses that served developers.kakao.com, which is part of that's part of an instant messaging app from Korea.
Right.
And so the AS is advertising that they own developers.kakao.com, and that's where the JavaScript is hosted, and when you're trying to download the JavaScript, you're basically going to download, DNS will resolve to the developer developers.kakao.com that's being hosted by the malicious infrastructure and happily serve a malicious file instead of the clean one.
Right.
So they were smart in a lot of different ways. So first of all, it only lasted for 2 hours. It was a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. The attackers, only distributed the malicious file to clients that had the cryptocurrency wallet. So let's see, where was that quote? It said they added a filtering system that delivered the malicious version only for users of the Clay Swap service. So basically, if you weren't a user of this cryptocurrency platform, but you were a user of the instant messaging service, you'd still get the same file that would be served by the legit infrastructure.
Right.
If you were a user of this cryptocurrency platform, they'd give you the malicious one. The malicious one just waited for a potential transaction on the cryptocurrency side to happen, and if so, did a essentially in-memory swap and said, no, don't send those funds to wherever you're actually sending them. Send them to an address controlled by us.
Right.
So this is a kind of a man in the middle, but by leveraging the DNS or BGP infrastructure to serve the malicious files. So and they made off with about says 2.2 billion Korean won or about $1.9 million worth of the cryptocurrency in about, I must
2
not
hours.
have copied it off. Oh, no, I did. Well, it was 2 hours, but 407 transactions across a total of 325 wallets. And evidently this Clay Swap is currently issuing compensation for affected users. So this was only, quote unquote, only $2 million.
Right.
I almost did a story. I put a story in the Slack, but of a guy who'd went through a tremendous diagnosis of a bug that he found, for which he was granted a $2 million bounty.
Yeah, I think we talked about that one before. Or maybe that's a new one.
I think it was a new one. It was that was yet another thing that happened this past. Right. Although that was disclosed and I believe patched before anything bad happened. So anyway, that was my second article. That was yet another Catalan article on the record.
Got it.
So
my something fun.
All right, hit me.
I swapped up here at the last second.
I was going to say, I don't recognize that.
I had another one.
What is this?
There is an Apple TV Plus show, which I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, I suppose, but I saw this show and thought that sounded like something I might be interested in. It's the summary for the show is 4 ordinary Brits are accused of kidnapping the son of a prominent U.S. media mogul. They embark on a desperate race against time to prove their innocence, but will anyone believe them, and are they telling the truth? So I've watched the first 2 episodes. It's still ongoing, so you can't get the whole season yet. And I don't know if it's going to be a whole season or if it's going to be like a mini series. I've watched the first 2, and I have really enjoyed it. It has if you like, kind of the Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express, Death of the Nile is coming out, and I am looking forward. My wife and I are going to go see Death on the Nile this upcoming weekend, I think.
Oh, is that along those lines? That line?
Death of the Nile is, another Hercule Poirot novel, right? So, and it's after Murder on the Orient Express came out, they hinted at the end of that movie that there was a Death on the Nile movie coming, and then COVID hit. Now the actual movie's finally coming out, so I'm excited to go see that. Okay. Anyways, back to Suspicion. So I watched the first 2 episodes, and it has that kind of feel where you get to know these characters and who they are, and then you find out they might be involved because the police are now starting to piece the evidence together, saying you were in the same hotel at the same time. Why? Oh, I was there because I was doing a presentation for a company. I was there because I was speaking at a conference that was in that hotel. All these people who had legitimate reasons for being there are also now being tied into this. Hey, you're now under suspicion for kidnapping this, famous persons. And so that each episode And as it goes, they start revealing more facts. You learn more facts about, I mean, this is probably spoiling it slightly, but one of the people who's being held, they came and picked her up right before she said her vows at a wedding. So she's in the church going to get married, and they come and say, you're under arrest. Come with us.
Oh my!
And one is giving a lecture. She's a university lecturer. Another. Anyways, it's pretty good if you like that kind of slow revealing.
Yeah. What was the one? Knives. Something?
Knives Out.
Knives Out.
That was a great show.
That was really good. So kind of along those lines.
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Similar. Yeah.
Not as slapstick.
Yeah. Not as fun as Knives Out.
Takes itself a little more seriously.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm only 2 episodes in. The third one is out, and then the next one comes out Friday. I'm trying to, I can watch 2 in a row, so I'm like holding up. They release a new episode every Friday, so I was thinking, I like that one, and if that's something you're interested in, I would recommend Suspicion on Apple TV Plus.
All right.
So there you go.
If you are recommending TV shows, I'm going to have to recommend Reacher, because it was really good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
It's on my to-do list to watch.
It was, I think that's a Prime. It was on Prime TV, I think. But having read the book, so I assume. Actually, they have Tom Cruise movies too.
Yeah, I watched the Tom Cruise movies.
Oh, okay.
Aside from Tom Cruise, they were good.
Okay. Well, I have not watched the Tom Cruise movies, but I have read at least the first 3 or 4 books by Lee Child.
Yeah.
Anyway, the books were great, and this totally follows I think it's the first book.
Okay.
Anyway,
cool.
It was quite good, and the actor is awesome. The kind of I love he's huge, but he's so smart, right? I mean,
right.
The character is. I assume that the actor is pretty smart also. But anyway, it is awesome. It's fantastic. Love it. Okay. That was not my something fun, though. Because I have 2 something funs, kind of. And that would make 3, and that would just be over the top. Okay, so my first something fun, I'm not going to talk about too much because, I don't know, it's way too detailed. But there is a magnificent lecture by David Rosenthal that was done, I assume this is at Stanford.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I didn't write that down.
Stanford.
In EE 380, and he gave a talk about cryptocurrencies, and this is magnificent.
Yeah.
Magnificent. And, so, I mean, the David Rosenthal, who I actually don't think I've heard of. Sorry. It sounds like he worked with James Gosling on CMU's Andrew project in the early 80s. So Andrew was, gosh, my memory of Andrew was of a distributed file system. Maybe there's a different Andrew system. I don't. But that was in about that era. He was a distinguished engineer with James Gosling later at Sun in the later 80s, working on Windows systems, including X and file systems. So I'm sure it's the Andrew FS. He quit to be employee number 4 at NVIDIA, where he and Curtis Priam did the basic I/O architecture for NVIDIA, then was it for a couple of other startups. So like his creds go way back. He's like, Graybeard.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So not a random bro.
No, not your random crypto bro. And yeah. Unlike most people discussing them, I am not talking my book, he says. And then one other quote, and then I'll just leave the rest of it because you can see like what direction this goes. And is that cryptocurrency's roots lie deep in the libertarian culture of Silicon Valley and the cyberpunks. Libertarianism's attraction is based on ignoring externalities, and cryptocurrencies are no exception.
Yeah.
Everything's wonderful if you ignore all the side effects and the things that it does outside, and you just think about, the pure abstract, which it is not pure nor abstract.
Yeah.
The externality.
No, it was, I read it too. this was a great laying out of all things cryptocurrencies. It wasn't necessarily
just the facts, man.
Exactly. It wasn't an opinion piece.
Facts.
It wasn't a bash. It wasn't a hatchet job. It was, here's the facts, and you take them for what they are. And it doesn't look pretty.
No.
So,
so anyway, go check it out. I really encourage anybody listening, go read this article. It's linked in the show notes and, in this chapter art here. Okay. My second something fun is, the kind of follow-up fun, but where is Webb? So
where is
the
Webb?
James Webb Space Telescope. Well, of course, it is at L2. But at the moment, the cool thing about this is they have gotten the first photons on the back from the telescope, and there's a cool 3-minute video that's linked off of the page that we'll put here. But it basically, they are in telescope adjustment at the moment. So they've got the first images back, and they have, they basically pointed it at a place where they would have one star in isolation so that they could see all 18 stars from the 18 different individual mirrors. Because they basically have to go through this adjustment process of, focusing all of the mirrors onto the same point.
Got it.
And that's going to take them weeks. Or actually, they've only got like the first 3 of 7 steps actually documented out here on the Where is Webb.
Right.
But it's totally cool because in the video, they've got a picture out here too on the web page, but in the video was a little bit cooler. They show how they were able to identify like which hexagonal segment had each of the star images. And so, so they've got 18 segments, they've got 18 different images of the same star, and then over the course of the next few steps of alignment, they'll start taking I think they said they'd start at the inner ring, but they'll start aligning the different segments so that they kind of bring them together until they're all aligned, and then they're getting one. And focusing is a separate step too. So it says, I'll actually read this one quote. It said, "We are pointing the telescope at a bright isolated star, HD 84406 to be specific, to capture a series of images that are then stitched together to form a picture of that part of the sky. We don't just have one mirror looking at the star, we have 18 mirrors, each of which is initially tilted towards a different part of the sky. As a result, we'll capture 18 slightly shifted copies of the star, each one out of focus and uniquely distorted. We refer to these initial star copies as segment images. One by one, we will move the 18 mirror segments to determine which segment creates which segment image. And after matching the mirror segments to their respective images, we can tilt the mirrors to bring all the images near a common point for further analysis. We call this arrangement an image array." So, anyway, that's just cool. The first minor, tiny little bits of a star showing up.
Nice.
So, I encourage you to watch the 3-minute video.
Sorry, I was very quiet because I was playing with all the cool stuff on Where is Webb website. Sorry.
It's very cool, isn't it?
The 3D solar system was really super cool. Sorry.
Oh, I haven't actually done that.
I've been playing with that one. So.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and you can zoom in and out and find Earth, and anyways, all fun stuff. Sorry. Anyways, okay. Good stuff, John.
I hadn't done that. Okay, well, there's my follow-up fun. Where is Webb?
Nice.
There you go.
Well, have a good week.
Ditto. It was fun talking to you tonight, and I will talk to you later.
Night.
Bye, Eric.
Bye.